Today, I'm behind the wheel of a brand new 2021 Honda CR-V. Now, the Honda CR-V is the benchmark when it comes to compact SUVs, and that's because it does everything well. There's really no weakness to the CR-V. Back in 2020, Honda already did a refresh. There was changes on the outside, subtle changes on the inside. Honda Sensing became standard, and hybrid models were introduced. So for 2021, Honda decided to make no change at all. That's right, there's no changes for the 2021 Honda CR-V. Today, I decided to review the EX trim. The EX trim is one of the lower trim levels. This is definitely a lot more affordable. This is one that a lot of families opt for, and I wanted to see just how good it is. So, if you're interested, let's get started. First, I want to give big thanks to Honda of Laos, which made this video possible. So if you're in the market for a brand new or used Honda, make sure you check them out. Their URL is in the description below. All right, I'm on the road. Let's see how good this brand new CR-V is and how it drives. Well, let me start out by saying I reviewed many CR-Vs in the past, and every time I get done, I think, yeah, that's a fantastic compact SUVs. There are just certain cars or SUVs from Honda that are just really that good. And the CR-V is one of them. I'm really impressed. I really feel like it does everything well. Maybe not class leading in everything, but it does everything well and it really has no weakness. So why is the CR-V so good? Well, first, let's look at the outside because I actually really enjoy the look of the CR-V. Back in 2020, Honda made subtle changes to the front bumper and rear bumper, and other things were tweaked slightly. But if you look at the front, the side, the back, there's good, nice sculpted lines everywhere. I really like the new front bumper, just the way it's designed. It looks like it's an angry mouth opening, and I really like that. It makes the front end looks a little bit more masculine and more aggressive. Also, the projector beam headlights, they look pretty good too. It's not full LED on this EX, but still, they have a good shape. LED daytime running lights on the outside, right? It looks nice, and you also get LED fog lights below, so I like it. And moving to the side, you can also see that shape, right? It's a good shape. There's good sculpted lines everywhere. And what I really like are those 18-inch alloy wheels. Now in the back, you get a shark fin antenna, you get a spoiler, large privacy glass, and in 2020, Honda decided to smoke the taillights, and I think just a subtle change like that actually makes a big difference. I really like this smoke design look. And you can see down below, you have some more black cladding. Unfortunately, there's no tailpipes. You do get chrome finishers on the Touring trim, but unfortunately nothing on the EX. The next thing that's good about the CR-V is the drivetrain. So I just accelerated about 10 to about 60 miles per hour, and that was okay. That wasn't slow. One of the problems with smaller SUVs, subcompact or compact SUVs, is the engine is usually a little bit lacking in terms of power, right? It feels kind of sluggish or slow. No, this CR-V actually feels pretty good. Under the hood, 1.5 liter turbo engine producing 190 horsepower. It's a turbo engine, so the torque kicks in very quick. And the CVT transmission, you would never know this is a CVT. It shifts just like an automatic. Honda nailed it, basically nailed it, and made this into a fantastic SUV. And with this combination, the CR-V doesn't feel slow at all. So if you're trying to pass, you're trying to get up to speed, you're not going to have a problem. And it's well insulated, so you don't really get, a lot of noise from under the hood, through the firewall, especially since this is a CVT. Everything is muted too. It's very nice. And you get great fuel economy, 29 miles per gallon combined. Now, another thing that the CR-V does really, really well is cargo room and passenger room. I swear, on the inside, this is as big as a mid-sized SUV. I mean, I review mid-sized SUVs all day long, and I look at the headroom, the legroom, the cargo space, all that. this really should be categorized in a midsize SUV. It is really that big. Now on the outside, it's not as tall or not as wide as a midsize SUV, but the inside is enormous. Let's start out with the trunk, right? If you're looking at a trunk inside this EX, there is enormous amount of cargo room behind the second row. There's a lot of cargo room. That's the best way to put it. Underneath the bottom cover, you do have a spare tire, but the bottom cover can be put two different ways. You can put it slightly up so it's flush to the rear bumper, or you can put it down to create more cargo room. So it's a little bit flexible in that way, and I like that design. But there's a ton of room, and you get a privacy cover on top and fold down levers on both sides for the second row. Really, really nice. Now, if you fold down the second row, I mean, the cargo room is enormous. The second row folds down really flat, and there's plenty of space to haul whatever you want. So that's really nice. So cargo room is not a problem inside a CRV. Well, what about passenger room? Also not a problem. So moving to the second row, inside this EX, all the seats, everything is covered in cloth, not leather. If you want leather, you got to go up to the EXL or the Touring trim, but you know, the cloth actually feels really good. I don't mind it at all. So if you look at me, I'm 5'10", and I have about 6 inches of legroom left behind my driving position. That is enormous considering this is a compact SUV. And about the same with headroom too. There was plenty of headroom. Now the seats also recline slightly. They do not slide, they do recline. But there is enormous amount of room in the second row. You really do not feel like this is a compact SUV. Also, the seats are very nice. They feel very soft. They don't feel stiff at all. And passengers get a pair of vents and a pair of USB ports, even inside the EX trim. So, passengers in the back, definitely not a problem. It's very comfortable, very spacious. And up front, same thing. I mean, I feel very spacious, very airy up here, especially with the moonroof open. But look, you know, 3 to 4 inches of headroom, plenty of shoulder room, hip room, not a problem at all. Nothing is hitting my legs or anything like that. It is very, very spacious in here. Now, I mentioned about the seats in the back being very comfortable. Same thing up front. Now, even though these aren't leather seats, that's fine. The cloth actually feels very nice. It actually looks pretty nice. It feels nice. You know, the bottom cushion is very soft. Same thing with the back, but the bolsters are holding my back in really well. They're not too aggressive, so I'm not sliding around. I feel like I am being hugged, yet it's still in a very soft and comfortable manner. So the seats up front, also very, very nice. Now, what about visibility and driving position? Well, visibility is fantastic. The front windshield is enormous. I can see well past the hood. So front visibility, great. Side visibility, also great. The door panels aren't very high. The windows are nice and big. So side visibility, also good. Blind spot visibility, also very good. There's really nothing I can't see back there. And also the rear tailgate. Rear tailgate, the window is very big. Nothing is blocking my view. Even with the headrest up, they don't really block anything. So visibility is fantastic. And driving position is good too. I'm not as high as a midsize SUV, but it's pretty tall. It's pretty tall. I mean, I have a minivan in front, and I feel like I'm looking down on the minivan. So it's a good elevated position. You get somewhat of a commanding view of the road, and then plus with the airiness in here, the visibility, right, the comfortable seats. So the driving position is very nice indeed. Now in 2020, one of the things that was tweaked on the inside is the center console area. And I think this is a much better setup. You have 2 USB ports right at your fingertips. You have some space for your phone, cup holders, and then look at the design under the armrest. You can see underneath there's like shelf space that could be moved forward and backwards, and it'll also be folded up. There's a 12V outlet inside. I mean, it's just really cleverly designed. This is something that Honda excels at, the armrest center console area, and it was redesigned in 2020, and it hasn't changed for 2021, and that's because it's still, in my opinion, one of the best setups out there. It's just really useful, and I really like that as well. I mentioned I'm in the EX trim, and even though this is one of the lower trim levels for the CRV, it's still very nicely equipped. I think that is why a lot of families look at the EX. Not only is it more affordable, but it's also nicely equipped. Let's start out with the infotainment screen, right? You get a 7-inch infotainment screen. It's a touch screen, not the most responsive, but it works. It has Wi-Fi, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. That's what people are looking for, right? They want to plug in their phone and just use it to navigate or whatever. You get that on here. You still have a volume knob, so that's nice. Reverse camera, pretty nice, although the resolution isn't the greatest. You also get heated seats in here. That's really nice. You know, normally on a lower trim, you don't see that offered, especially on cars without leather. Yeah, you get heated seats. You also get 12-way power adjusting driver's seat. That's nice, 12-way, right? That's usually reserved for luxury cars. You also get that in here as well. Also, dual zone climate control. That's really nice, not single zone. You also get heated mirrors, which is really nice in the winter. Also, blind spot monitoring. That's usually reserved for upper trims. You get that in here. Blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, that's included. And that's along with Honda Sensing, which became standard on all trims in 2020. Honda Sensing gives you everything: adaptive cruise control, road mitigation, lane sway warning, right? Emergency braking, pedestrian detection, all that you get. So it's also very safe, right? And you get LED fog lights on the outside, LED daytime running lights, projector beam headlights, and let's not forget those beautiful 18-inch alloy wheels that are also on the outside. So as you can see, even though this is a lower trim level, this EX trim, it's still very nicely equipped. Oh, I forgot, you get a power moonroof on top too. So it lets a lot of light in, and that's always nice. Now, as for cabin noise, pretty good. I'm going about 45 miles per hour. Today isn't a windy day, but really nothing from the outside. Very, very slight wind noise, very slight. Nothing from the road. The engine is very muted, nothing from the exhaust. So overall, very quiet ride. Also, the suspension is fantastic. The suspension is really good. It's soaking up all the bumps. It's really comfortable inside. You know, I never really feel that much rattles or anything inside this CRV. And let's see, taking this corner. And so taking a hard corner, there's some body roll, but overall isn't too bad. Also, the steering is nice. Now, unfortunately, the steering wheel is not a leather wrap steering wheel, which would make it a little bit better. But the steering wheel overall, it's a nice shape, nice design. Not too much to complain about. I mean, the buttons on the right is for adaptive cruise control, pretty easy to figure out. Buttons on the right, left, I should say, is to control like volume, scrolling, and that gauge cluster of yours. There's a lot of information inside the gauge cluster, and if you take a look at that, there's just one gigantic screen in the middle, and of course that displays your tachometer and your digital speed, but you can scroll through left and right. You can see your trip computer, your maintenance schedule, TPMS, all-wheel drive system, your settings, all that good stuff. So again, you get all the essentials. And you know, I got off track, but the steering itself is also nice. It has a decent weight, a little bit light. There's slight play in the steering wheel, but overall, I don't feel like it's very vague. Like, it's not numb in any way. I do feel like it's a good steering setup. So the steering setup, you know, the steering feel with the suspension, really nice. So along with everything else I mentioned, you're definitely getting a very comfortable and smooth ride inside this CRV. And that's what I really love about it. It's so practical, useful, comfortable, fuel efficient, and you have Honda reliability, and it's also safe. I mean, you pretty much get everything inside the CRV. So I've been saying nothing but good things about the CRV. Are there bad things? Are there anything I didn't mention? Are there really no weakness to CRV? Well, I mean, the only thing I could take away from the CRV is like the interior cabin, the dash design, the infotainment screen, the gauge cluster. I mean, this design feels a little dated now, especially when you compare to the newer offerings from other manufacturers. For example, I just got done reviewing a the brand new Nissan Rogue, which was completely redesigned, right? And that interior cabin really did feel like it's from another class. Like, it felt like it was a luxury car. Just the way, you know, the soft material and leather is used, the infotainment screen, the dash setup, the completely digital gauge cluster, right? Those were very fancy and very nice. So if you compare this dash and this infotainment screen and gauge cluster to, say, a Nissan Rogue, it does feel dated. And it doesn't have all the cool features that some other compact SUVs now have. So if you look at it that way, yeah, the CR-V does have a weakness. It doesn't have all the latest gadgets. It doesn't have the prettiest or fanciest, you know, front cabin and dash design. However, with that said, I mean, this still works, and it works well. Nothing in here is actually broken. It's just that the competition does things a little bit better. Next up, let me talk about trim levels and pricing and give you my final thoughts on this brand new CR-V. As for trim levels, there are 4 trims to the Honda CR-V, not counting the hybrids. The base is the LX and it starts at $25,350. Then you have the EX, which is the one I'm driving today, and it starts right under $28,000. Next, you have the EXL, and finally the range-topping Touring, which comes in over $33,000. To conclude, the 2021 Honda CR-V is more of the same, but still one of the best compact SUVs you could buy today. It has a good-looking exterior and a very functional interior. The CR-V also has an amazing amount of cargo room and passenger space, and overall provides a quiet and comfortable ride. The EX trim provides plenty of standard features, and Honda sensing is standard. As for the bad, the dash, infotainment screen, and gauge cluster feels dated versus the competition, and there is a price increase in 2021 despite having no changes at all. Overall, I'm giving the brand new 2021 Honda CR-V EX a score of 97. To learn more about the CR-V and to see where it ranks, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Hit the like and subscribe to the channel, and check out these other videos.